I feel like I lived the first 25 years of my life in a sheltered little box. I am not going to let the rest of my life pass like that.
What do you think the 15-year-old Brian would think of the Brian of today?
Oh gosh, I don't even think 15-year-old me would recognize me. As well as just being in my own little box of not knowing what I could do physically, I was definitely scared of letting just anyone know that I was different, that I had prosthetics. I wore pants all year long. Didn't matter if it was 110 degrees out. Um, I did not own a pair of shorts. If you asked me why I had like a slight limp or something, I like, oh, ski accident or bike accident or whatever. Like I was not true to myself and was scared of what other people think. It wasn't until after college that changed for me. I was like around like 23 or so. I was sweltering in an unair conditioned gym in the middle of summer, trying to work out in like these thick winter gym pants. I stood up. I was like, I cannot do this anymore. I borrowed a pair of my brother's shorts. I put them on and just went back to my workout, and then realized that like nobody gives a damn. Nobody cares about my legs. Probably everybody already knew about my legs. There was no stares, there was no comments, there was nothing. And that's when I was like, I've been a moron. like I've let this consume me in a very negative way. That was the last day I really ever wore pants. I
Now
I,
you're a
I have
shorts
some like
guy.
dress pants for formal. Yeah, I have like some dress pants for like formal occasions. You might see me put them on for a wedding or something, but I, I will probably wear shorts on top of Aconcagua, which is one of the coldest mountain summits in the world. I have zero patience on wearing pants now.
I love what you said about like nobody cares or nobody noticed. Like so many people spend so much time thinking about what other people are thinking of them. And the reality of it is everyone's so busy thinking about themselves that nobody really cares. And there's like
Hmm.
not enough time to
Yep.
judge everyone else because we're so stuck in our own head judging ourselves. What would you say to 15 or 23-year-old Brian?
Uh, I don't feel like regrets are the best thing, but I definitely wish that I had come out of my shell sooner in life. I probably would have had a lot more opportunities in high school through college. I found out after college that I was really good at jujitsu. I did jujitsu for a few years after college once I started wearing shorts and stuff. But, like maybe I would have wrestled in high school and then maybe it would have ended up in college wrestling or something. I don't know where life would have taken me. I don't think I would have been a runner necessarily because there's still a barrier of entry with running blades that I wasn't going to necessarily overcome at that age. But I feel like I would have had these opportunities earlier in life to see how I can push myself and what I can do. Or maybe it would have led me down a path that I wouldn't have ended up doing any of these things. Maybe I do these things because I spent the first 25 years of my life like that. It's hard to know what would have changed one way or another. I feel like I cram so much in now because I felt like I missed out for a while. So maybe I wouldn't have had the same drive now. Maybe it wouldn't have been as positive a change.
The episode of the podcast I released today was with a woman named India Cook. India trained to break 7 hours in this past year's New York City Marathon. And her why has evolved to be the runner that she needed to see when she got into running. Back of the pack, chasing cutoffs, but like really freaking motivated to get it done, kind of a deal. In
Hmm.
that episode, she basically spoke directly to that version of a runner, or that type of person. And I find this sort of like speaking to the person that you might have wanted to hear from when you were, in the thick of it, to be so fascinating, so powerful. And I always get a ton of messages from people who are also in a similar boat. So I'm curious your perspective or your response on that. If you were talking to not the version of yourself, from 15 or 23, but maybe an amputee runner who's, seeing that more and more people are starting to do this. We saw Adrienne Hazlitt shoot her shot at
Mhm.
the Boston Marathon this past year, and there's been a lot of change in that organization and others creating paradivisions and all of what we're seeing there. I imagine that that's only going to grow and become more and more popular and accessible for people. So, for someone who's listening, maybe they followed your story for a while, what do you want to tell that person who's either thinking about getting into it or couldn't see themselves getting into it, but they want to?
I often think that that was one of the things that was missing from my youth, is having a para athlete, whether they are an amputee or otherwise, to look up to and see what was possible. And it's not that they didn't exist back then, but there was no social media in the 90s to see this kind of stuff. I do think it would have changed my perspective earlier in life. Not even direct communication with somebody, but somebody to look up to and see what they were doing. Even now, I feel like there are so many different ways to accomplish being a para athlete. I feel like I'm almost writing my own book about how to overcome this or how to overcome that. Whether it's chafing in the legs that we were talking about earlier and the sweat buildup, or any of the other dozens of complications of being an amputee athlete. Having organizations like the Boston Marathon start to legitimize the para division, and having Adrienne Hazlitt being an amazing spokesperson for it, is only going to make things better for all para athletes. Give them ways to reach out to me, her, or any other para athletes that come along with just general questions about how to be an amputee athlete. I'm happy when I get those questions because it means that somebody else is trying to overcome those obstacles themselves. It is something that I hope comes out of my own journey, is that people can see as an amputee or any other type of para athlete that you truly can do what you put your mind to, and that it's not easy. And I've probably failed more times than I've succeeded, and I'll continue to fail for certain, but I'm never going to stop dreaming about what I can do.